Hello everybody and welcome to our race commentary video for the second round of the 2025 Puma Cup at Donington Park. Okay, for those of you who saw the video of our race at Silverstone a few weeks ago, apologies. We're going to do a quick little recap for the people that don't know, because the background of that race it's got an important bearing on today's events. So, first round of the race season was at Silverstone a few weekends ago, and there were 4 Puma Cup cars there, and I'm really pleased to say that we were on form. We set a lap record around the circuit, and in the race we built up a lead of about 25 seconds before the left rear wheel bearing started rattling. I heard it in the car for about half a lap, and then the handling started going and the car started snaking under braking. So pitted immediately, and Mike and Mark in the pits both confirmed it was game over. So we'd gone from, well, we've never dominated a Puma Cup race like that ever in 6 years of racing, and to have it taken away by a mechanical fault was galling, to say the least. Had to stay philosophical about it though, because in 6 years of Puma Cup racing, that is only the second mechanical retirement that we've had, and I know there are a lot of people who would give limbs for that kind of reliability record. So we took it on the chin and we wanted to regroup for Donington. Now, those of you that know me know that Donington is my second favourite place on the planet, possibly the first actually. I just love this place. It means so much to me. There is so much history and whatnot associated with this circuit, but also my personal history as well. It's where I first came to the track with my family when I was little. First track I ever got driven around, first track I ever met a Formula 1 world champion at, which was Jackie Stewart, as it happens. First time I ever saw one of Ayrton Senna's cars was at this track, and of course the association of Ayrton Senna in this circuit is legendary. So yeah, it means the world to me, and off the back of Silverstone, this is the one that I wanted the most, because my two main rivals are both starting this race. Jamie Clare in the silver and blue Puma, which you can just see in the rear view mirror on the left hand side of the view as you see it, and also Luke Johnson in the blue and yellow Puma, which is also in the rear view mirror. He's in the Rapid Fit liveried car, looks like the old touring car from the late 1990s, looks fantastic. Directly behind me is Gareth Cotgrove in the other blue Puma. He's lining up in 4th place. So if you haven't realised already, that means that we're on pole position, which is great news. However, qualifying I think might have flattered to deceive a little bit, because although we were on pole position, it was quite a disjointed session. There was lots of traffic, lots of yellow flags, and then the session itself was cut short. So we lost a few minutes at the end when everyone was going the quickest. So I'm really pleased to be on pole position for this one. However, I know that everybody can go quicker, and the times from qualifying are not representative of actual pace. But I'm on pole position. I'm in the left-hand file of the 2x2 grid formation, and it's a rolling start, which means that we do not stop into a grid position like Formula 1 do. We just roll around in formation, and when the lights go green, we can stand on the throttle and start racing. Now, I've got pit car radio, which is really helpful in a situation like this, because it means as soon as the lights go, even if I can't see them, Mark in the pit lane can shout green, 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 which is exactly what he did. I thought I'd got a decent start, but we're racing now, and you can see Jamie has just pulled over onto the right hand side. He's ahead of me and he's got the inside line, so yeah, there's the lead gone, I'm afraid. But tuck in nicely, try and get a good exit. There we go, slingshot round the outside, but the Peugeot's in the way and I missed my gear. Come on, John. And then you can see Luke Johnson in the rear view mirror come sliding up the inside. 2x2 down Craner. I'm getting out of that. Luke, you can have the corner because you're compromised going into the old hairpin, so I'm going to get a much better exit than you. Stamp on the throttle, and I can't cross over to the right hand side because there's no space, and nip up the inside, clatter the marker board on the apex. don't make the pass stick though, and Adam Brown's coming through in his Lightning Fiesta ST from the back of the grid, but I can't compromise my race to look after Adam. I've got to keep my head down, eyes forward. I've got another good run on Luke, up the inside, but Coppice corner, double right-hander, blind apex, bit of oversteer. Yeah, lost the momentum. So Luke's got away from me and protected second position. And I've got Gareth breathing down my neck in the blue Puma in the rear view mirror. So flat out down the Starkey Straight. We're probably doing about 95, 100 miles an hour. I think we max at about 105 here. Brake for the chicane, and although it is a chicane, we're still going pretty quick, 75, 80 miles an hour through there as we accelerate up the hill down to the Melbourne Loop. Well, the hairpin, affectionately known as the beer can. You can see why. I might get a better view in the rear view mirror for this one. But look at this. We've now got 4 Pumas. I was going to say 6 actually, because we've got the white car of Neil Jackson and Nick Fulljames, as well as Mark Jackson in the green car, but they're out of shot at the moment. So here we go. We are end of lap 1. I've gone from pole position to 3rd place. I'm not very happy about this, and I don't know how quick Jamie and Luke are going to be ahead of me. But Jamie and Luke have been the pace setters in the Puma Cup for the last 3 or 4 years. Those are the guys that normally duke it out at the front, and we've been getting closer. Team Guroba has been getting closer and closer. So today's the day we find out how close we've managed to get. Now then, new feature for today's video. We've borrowed some footage from the live stream from the CSCC. So when the Pumas become relevant, that will show in the top right hand side of your screen, as you can see now. So you can see Jamie in the lead there, Luke going up the inside of the Peugeot, and then me following behind. Back to the main screen. I don't want that Peugeot between me and Luke, because that will cause problems. I don't know what that Peugeot's overall pace is like, but I don't want it in the way if at all possible. So nice exit from the old hairpin, and I'm back on Luke's bumper. And again, at this point I'm actually a little bit frustrated, because I've gone and blown a pole position, and yeah, there was the missed gear at the top of the Hollywood complex, you know, just before you come down the hill into Craner Curves. That missed gear cost me the position to Luke, and I look at where Luke is now on the circuit and think I could be ahead of him, breathing down Jamie's neck. And I'm also really upset, because I don't know how fast Jamie's going to be. I don't know how fast Luke's going to be, but I should be ahead of Luke at this point. But I've just got to play the cards I've been dealt, although I dealt myself these cards with a poor start and a missed gear. Here's another quick car coming through on the inside. Looks like one of these, a Honda Civic. Can't tell, not sure who you are, apologies. But stay wide around the Melbourne Loop. And oh, I thought they were going to nip up the inside there, but they've got way more grunt than us, so they're going to get me up to Goddard. Hopefully I can tuck back in on the racing line so that my line around Goddard isn't compromised. This is Goddard corner, horrible corner. It's off camber, you have to wait so long to get the throttle down. It's really not a nice corner to drive at all, because when you go round Goddard as fast as possible, you feel like you could have gone a lot faster. So then next time you do go faster, but it's actually slower because it's untidy, and it's just horrible. Okay, so where are we? We're starting lap 2 right now, or lap 3, I don't know, I've already lost count. But you can see Jamie and Luke up ahead. We're kind of gapping. The gap between us, what, 2.5, 3 seconds maybe? And luckily in the rearview mirror we've managed to drop Gareth. Gareth didn't quite have the pace to hang on to us, which was great for me, because I didn't want to be in a defensive fight whilst I'm trying to push forward. So I'm now counting my chickens a little bit, thinking, okay, it is all eyes forward. I can concentrate on those 2 guys without worrying too much about what's going on behind, because like I say, you look behind and there's nothing going on behind. So all good. I've just got to concentrate on Luke Johnson's bumper and get on it as fast as I can and see about effecting an overtake. Now, I've said this before, so apologies for repeating. People who've heard this before are probably sick of me saying it. Catching is one thing and passing is quite another. They are the words of the late great Murray Walker. Murray, much missed. Catching is one thing. You know, you can get on the bumper of the car ahead, But in order to overtake, loads of smoke there. That was someone locking up. I wonder if that was Jamie. You can get on the bumper of the car in front, but to effect an overtake, it's not just enough to be quicker. Because to be a little bit quicker, you might get a quarter of the way alongside before the braking zone. That's not enough to claim the corner. You might be quick enough to get halfway alongside. Again, not enough to claim the corner. You will be given racing room if you are halfway alongside, but it's not your line yet. And the speed differential to pull a full car length to draw level and then another car length to get ahead, the speed differential has to be quite high. And with this configuration at Donington Park, there's no real huge braking zones where you can exploit that differential. Now, if we were on the short circuit here, where at the end of the long straight we do a right-left flick onto the start line, we'd have to brake a lot harder down to third gear for that corner. Whereas on this configuration, the left-right flick down to the loop, it's not as hard braking. And when you don't have to take off as much speed, it means that the opportunity to have an advantage over the car that you're battling with is diminished. So I could by all means get onto Luke's bumper, but passing him is going to be incredibly difficult on pace alone, especially when he then starts changing his line to defend. That slows everybody down. Although I wouldn't be able to get ahead of him if he does that, we could then both fall back into the clutches of Gareth behind us. I can't see what the distance is to Gareth, but similarly, if Luke and I start fighting in that regard, then Jamie, who's up ahead, could just disappear off into the distance as Luke and I slow each other down. So there's a lot of strategy going on in my mind right now. I'm thinking, in terms of getting to the flag the quickest, it's probably best not to give Luke a hard time. However, I've got to get past him at some point. You know, if I want to go for the win, I've got to make a pass or get ahead of him on the track somehow. So it's how do I do that without compromising my position any more than is necessary? Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Until I'm on his bumper, it's also irrelevant because, you know, until I'm there, it's not a problem I've got to deal with. But you'll see over the course of the last lap, I have edged closer to Luke. So I'm, maybe 5 or 6 car lengths behind him at this point, and I'm starting to look at Luke's driving now, and I'm starting to see where I've got an advantage. Where is he quick? Where's he nervous? Where does he do something a little bit different to me? Maybe he's doing a particular corner better than me. Maybe I'm strong around a particular part of the circuit. And right here is where I had a good advantage, on the exit of the old hairpin. I was really, really confident getting the power down and holding the line up to the edge of the circuit on the exit so that I could carry as much speed through. Now, consistently, I was quicker than Luke coming out of the old hairpin, but again, not by enough to get alongside, ready for the braking zone up into McLean's. So it's a catch-22. There were other parts of the circuit where Luke had got the legs on me, particularly that corner we just did there, Coppice. He was always a little bit quicker around there than I was. Whether that's confidence, car setup, I don't know. I'm also going to say it, driving ability, because Luke is a phenomenal driver. We know that from his previous results and from going wheel to wheel with him in the past. But we're now starting to get a bit of traffic involved. I don't think these are slower cars that we've come round to lap, but they may be cars from up ahead that have got problems. Now Luke dives inside that Peugeot and I just see the chance. I think I'm going for it because, like I said earlier, I don't want cars between us. You can see Jamie, you can see Luke there, you can see me all together. So I went for that move up the inside of the Peugeot, but he's got much better grunt and he got me on the exit of the corner. Luckily I'm on the inside here for Goddard, so I make the overtake again, but can I stay in front by the time we get to Redgate? Look at that extra power of that Peugeot, comes powering up on the outside, and this is a nightmare situation for me because if I get into a battle with this Peugeot, then Luke and Jamie are going to disappear. Luckily, by turning this corner here at Redgate, we've now cleared the power section of the track. The next half a mile to a mile is all about handling. So I should be able, and I'm hoping that I can pull a bit of a gap on that Peugeot. There you go, look at him having to lift around Craner, and around the old hairpin, same story. So although that Peugeot's got a power advantage, he won't be close enough to attack me when we get back to the straight part of the lap. But look at Luke and Jamie, they've managed to pull so far ahead that I'm now out of touch. Luke is right on Jamie's back bumper. So I'm disappointed that I've lost time, but this turns out to be a good thing. Look at them side by side into Coppice, and Jamie comes across the front of Luke. Look how much we've closed up in that one little corner there, because they are fighting. This is what I was talking about. When you get defensive, when you start attacking, you move offline, your braking points change, your apex speeds change. You might even change gear at different points at some time. So that's allowed me to close up all that lap time on the pair of them now, because they are together. And here we are, what, 12-13 minutes into a Puma Cup race, and the top three are, there you go, 1, 2, 3 at the apex of the Melbourne Loop. That is brilliant. This is what the Puma Cup's all about. The cars are all the same, we've all got the same engine, the same tyres, the same suspension. The weight limit includes the driver. I'm a bigger guy, so if the weight limit didn't include me and we just had to get the car to a particular weight, then the drivers get in. It means that the bigger guys are at a disadvantage. No such thing in the Puma Cup. Cars are weighed with car and driver, so everything's equal. You can set the car up a little bit differently with tyre pressures and suspension clicks, because the suspension is adjustable, but other than that, they're all the same. So this is why it's really close. X amount of laps, and look at us all together having a really good fight. So what's my mentality now? I love the fact that Jamie's come back to us, because that means that Luke and I have probably got a little bit of pace over Jamie. But again, trying to pass is just so difficult that I don't really know what to do. I don't know whether to attack or just sit pretty and potentially wait for an opportunity. Now, you might see my hands on the steering wheel go for the little red button. There we go, on the right-hand side. Do you see my index finger? I'm pressing that little red button, which is opening the radio back to Mark and Mike on the pit wall. And I'm thinking strategically at this point. I'm thinking, do I want to be involved in this battle, or do I want to get out of it by making my pit stop and potentially coming out in some clean air and putting some laps in? But if you pit in the Puma Cup outside of your pit window, you are going to be liable for a huge penalty that will 100% ruin your race. And we normally pit as late as possible in the window, which is 30 minutes, so that if there is a safety car, we can take advantage of it. What we don't want to do is, oh, look at that run I got a Luke there, right up the inside, but he powers out of the hairpin better than me. But look at us all together. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Yeah, you don't want to pit and then a safety car happens, because everyone else gets a free stop and you don't. We got stung by that a couple of years ago. But Mark and Mike have confirmed that the pit window's open, so I'm getting in the pits. I'm going to shut up now and we'll listen to the audio of the pit stop. See you in a bit. They're slowing each other down, Rod. Just intense. I've got pace on them both, but can I get an overtake? Yeah. Don't know. Let's do it, pits then. Yeah. Do the right thing. Right, okay. 10 seconds. Okay, that wasn't as exciting as I remember, but just so you know, we've got a 90-second pit stop that we have to make. It's mandatory, and if we cross the line at the end of the pits before 90 seconds, we get a huge penalty. So we normally try and give it a couple of seconds margin, but because I'm in a fight, I said we are going to attack this pit lane, and boy did we attack it. 1 minute 30.394, 4/10 away from a penalty, but we didn't give anything away. And when the times were published after the race, we were the fastest pit stop of any car in this race, not just the Puma Cup, including the tin tops as well. There's about 35 cars on the grid, and we did the best pit stop of all of them, and boy did we need it. Now look at the draw. I've come out with a clean track ahead of me, so that is perfect. I am so proud of the strategy call that we made, because that's exactly what we wanted. Oh, back up to the live stream. So Luke is a lap ahead of me now. He's just coming round Red Gate. I think Jamie pitted that time, which is why Luke is on his own. So Mark has already radioed me to say that Jamie's in the pits. So I have got to make this outlap count. You saw the gap between me and Jamie when I pitted. That's the distance that I've got to make up. And by nailing the pit stop, we probably stole a second, possibly 2 seconds. At this stage, I don't actually know. So I've just got to go hell for leather. And I'm so grateful that I've got a clear track in front of me. And look at that in the rearview mirror. Nothing. Perfect. Qualifying lap. Attack every braking zone, attack every apex, stamp on the throttle as soon as I possibly can. Get into the Melbourne loop here nice and tight. Stamp on the power early, let it understeer out to the edge of the circuit. You see me messing around with the clock in the middle there. That tells me my timing to the end of the race, so I know how long I've got left. I pressed the wrong button, and I tried to shut up the beeping from the end of the pit stop timer, and in doing so I changed the display, and yeah, I had no idea what the heck was going on. So down the start line, where is Jamie? He's there somewhere. He's coming out the pits. Which one is he? I'm ahead of him. Just saw him flash on the edge of the pit, edge of the screen as he exits the pits. So you can see the advantage that we've now made for ourselves by pitting early. And of course Luke Johnson, he's still out on the circuit charging around, but he does pit this lap. So I had one good out lap to get ahead of Jamie. Can I get a second good out lap to get ahead of Luke? Now, one of the last things I want to have to do on this lap is deal with traffic, and that Honda, I managed to pass it nice and straightforward there. Didn't lose any time, which is great news. Sorry, just had to hit my cough button then. I should have brought a glass of water to do this commentary, but I didn't, but I'll soldier through. So yeah, that Honda, quick in a straight line, but we were much quicker around the corners. So I'm ahead of him. You can see him in the rearview mirror here, but down the straight, I'm worried he's going to make a move into the chicane, and I can't afford to be compromised at all. I can see him closing. Look at me checking the mirror. He feints to the left a little bit, and then he ducks back in, and I'm so pleased that he did, because I did not want him attacking there. And again, I'm a bit quicker out of the chicane, so I managed to pull the gap, and I'm now thinking, perfect, I've got 2 more corners between me and Luke. And then out of nowhere, Honda dives to the inside, locks up, comes right across me. Nightmare, absolute nightmare situation. I looked at my lap delta. That cost me 2 seconds of track time. And oh god, I know it's motorsport, it happens, but in the heat at the moment, I am fuming right now. I don't blame the Honda driver. He's in his own race and he saw a chance to go for a pass. I think with hindsight, he'll probably look at that and realise it wasn't on. But I've been there. You sometimes think something's on and it's not. So no hard feelings, but right now I'm thinking, oh good god. And then this Fiesta, same story, passes me down. You can hear me shouting in the car. I'm really not happy at this point. This is where Woodstock is the fastest around this circuit. So I'm being held up by the Fiesta in front of me. I've got the Honda breathing down my neck. and I know that the Honda's quick, and then I see the bright orange Honda Civic of Alfie Jones coming through. Alfie's a good mate from Team DHD, and I'm so glad he caught us there, because he just managed to fly past and didn't cost us any time. But if you look up at the live stream, you can see Luke Johnson behind me. This is the first confirmation that I've got that we are now in the lead of the Puma Cup. We've gone from first to third inside a corner, and then we've fought back up, and we've now got a net lead on the road. Myself in first, Luke in second, Jamie in third. And I'm glad of the CSCC stream, and thank you very much to them for broadcasting it live and allowing, even though I haven't asked for permission, to use their footage. It helps promote the series, so I hope everyone's okay with that, and how close the racing is. So we're coming down to the Melbourne Loop again, and I've got this Honda behind me, and I know what he did at this corner last time. He's not going to do it again, is he? He's not going to do it again. No, he isn't. Ah, thank goodness. Breathe a sigh of relief. So I'm trying to think strategically about where Luke is and what I'm going to do, all that kind of stuff. But at the moment, he's gone up the inside. He's compromised me around Goddard. But again, I don't mind as long as he gets his foot down and goes. But like I said earlier, we're coming up to the fastest part of the circuit for Woodstock, so I don't want to get held up. As we crossed the line that time, Luke was about 3.5 seconds behind me. Now, I feel confident, well, you can see the gap there on the stream. I'm confident that pace-wise, I've got legs on Luke, because I managed to catch him in the first half of the race, and then when he and Jamie were battling, I got that sixth sense of I could go quicker than this. So I feel like I've got the pace to build a lead and crack on and win the race. But the deltas can change so quickly when the traffic's coming through. Either you're in a fight like I am now with this Honda in front of me, the one with the burgundy bumper, or you're letting the leaders come through and they catch you at the wrong time and they cost you lap time. And I don't have much lap time to spare because Luke's only 3.5 seconds behind. Again, Cleo comes flying up the inside at Coppice. He didn't make the pass there because I had to shut the door. I'd forgotten I'd done that. But look how much faster it is down the straight. Just go, mate. Get out of my way. Or let me get out your... You know what I mean. And then who's this? Here comes Gary Barlow. Perfect. Down the straight. But again, look how good Woodstock is on the brakes. We're getting held up round the chicane by Gary Barlow. He'll not be happy about that. And I saw that yellow in the rearview mirror. Thought it was Luke. Nearly had a heart attack. But you know what? So far, so good, because this traffic, although it's costing me, it's giving that Honda a chance to pull away a little bit. And if it pulls away enough, we won't interfere with each other. I will catch him around the twisty bits. He will pull away down the straights, but we're not going to get in each other's way and compromise each other's lap times. But I keep seeing little puffs of smoke, little bits of lock-up, little bits of dust throwing up, and it just worries me that somebody might spin right in front of me, might kick a stone up, and anything could happen. So I've just got to really keep my head down. I'm in that place in my head where I can now see that a win's on the table. It's going to be ours to lose. I've got the lead. We're in the second half of the race, and I've got a solid car underneath me, which is handling great, it's pulling great, and so far the traffic situation, it's not been particularly kind to us, but it has been kinder to us than it has been to Luke and Jamie. As you can see in the rearview mirror, Luke is nowhere to be seen at the moment. That 3.5 seconds eked out to about 4.5, 5 at this point. So, oh God, right, can I take a breath? Been racing for 25 minutes. Every bit of it has been intense. But now the dust has settled, the pit stops have taken place, the race order is what it is, and it's making a plan to get round to the checkered flag in first place from here. Now, there's two schools of thought over the best way to get to the flag first from here. One of them is the traditional don't do anything different, just keep your head down, keep pounding the lap times, so on and so forth, in a sort of metronomic style. Now, the advantage to doing that is that once you're in a rhythm, it's much easier to continue with that rhythm, and you are less likely to make mistakes from lack of concentration, so on and so forth. The downside of that approach is that you are on the limit the whole time, and being on the limit brings with it its own risks. So you have to choose. Do you want to go flat out because it's what you've been doing for the last 25-30 minutes, it's what you're used to, and you can kind of go on autopilot? There's nothing autopilot about it, but I think you understand what I mean when I say that. The second school of thought is to manage the gap. Now, the gap back to Luke is about 6 seconds at this point, because we pulled out some more over the last lap. 6-7 seconds, something like that. So I've got the radio. Mark can tell me the gaps, can tell me what times Luke is doing, and if it gets down to 5 seconds, I can put my foot down, try and eke it out again, or I can essentially manage the gap. Now, that's a good way of doing things, because by going a little bit slower, you are moving away from the limit, which means that you are moving away from potential errors and incidents. The downside of it is that you do lose your flow. You're changing gear at a slightly different point, you're braking at a slightly different point, and all of those little differences can add up, so that over the course of the lap, it's like fear of the unknown. I put the stream up there just because Mark Jackson got some good screen time in the green car. There's also another yellow Puma out on the track today, and we've got a really similar livery. So, oh look, this is hairy. I don't need this. Overtaking one car, being overtaken by another. After what happened with the Honda Civic earlier that nearly took out my front end and retired us from the race, I just don't want to see other cars. And that on the limit plan, keep pounding round, keep doing the lap times, I'm shying away from that, because the traffic is gonna, I don't want to be at full brain capacity and have to deal with traffic. I'd rather keep a little bit in reserve and manage the situation as it's presented to me. So again, we've just put in another solid lap, and Mark is on the radio telling me that the gap is now about 10 seconds. So not only did we pull away from Luke a little bit on pace, but he must have had a bad lap with traffic. And 10 seconds... I'm starting to believe now. I'm starting to believe. There's about 10 minutes of the race left, I think. I can't remember exactly. So what, 5 laps, 10-second gap? Can Luke pull 2 seconds a lap on me on pace? Unlikely, unless we make a mistake. Back up to the stream, there's Gareth Cotgrove in 4th place in the Scots Hire car. Gareth had a tough season last year, pace and reliability, but he's had a solid winter, got the car sorted out, and he was pretty much back on the pace this weekend, so that's great to see. And I know Gareth is getting quicker and quicker round by round, so it's not going to be long before he's knocking on the door of podiums and potentially wins as well. But back to me, my video, obviously. I've now decided, and I've radioed back to the boys in the pit, that we are in bring it home mode, which means pushing but not taking any risks. I may as well have disconnected the lap timer at this point, because I'm not interested in it. I don't care if I lose 2 or 3 tenths here and there. I don't care if my lap is a second slower than what I'm actually capable of. Doesn't bother me one bit. After what happened at Silverstone, when we had a commanding lead, I know that you can go from perfectly confident and everything's okay to retirement in a matter of seconds. And although, of course, I've got every confidence in Mike and Mark with the mechanics, the fact remains that we've got a new wheel bearing on the back. Did it go on okay? Is it a solid part? It's not going to cause us any issues. So it's in the back of the mind. Now, here's Danny Cassar in the Hillwood Autos Honda Integra. Good old DHD buddy. Overtakes us. And then look, I don't know if you can see on that, he's got the cheek to wave at me. I say cheek, it was actually very nice of him to pay me a second thought. So I waved back and clearly put him off because, oh, look at that, he gets all wobbly and misses his apex around the hairpin. If if Danny would have ended up in the gravel there, I would have never heard the end of it, even though it was him that waved at me. But Danny, nice to see you out on the circuit again. I think Danny lapped us about 3 times, and spoiler alert, he won the overall race. Close fight with Andrew Windmill. Danny had got a pit stop penalty, I think, from the previous round. I honestly don't know, but I do know that those two were in a pretty solid battle once everything shook out. So back to the live stream. There's Jamie back in 3rd place. Now he's just coming around McLean's corner and we're halfway down the exhibition straight. That's about 15-20 seconds worth, and we've got Mark Jackson just coming into Redgate. He's about half a lap ahead of us on the road, but about half a lap behind on the race. Now I want to give a special shout to Mark, so I'll do it while he's on the screen. Hope he stays there a little longer. Mark is the guy who painted Woodstock in the beautiful bright yellow, and he did such a good job. He painted his own car that green as well, and it's what he does for a living. He's really good at it, and I'm so pleased with the way Woodstock's looking. And for this race we wanted to put a livery onto the car, so we went for an Ayrton Senna style tribute with the green and blue bandings of the Brazilian bandera. And there goes Andrew Windmill now, actually, so you can see the gap between him and Danny, about a lap between them overtaking us, so probably less than 10 seconds on the road for the overall win. Back to the car. Yeah, we put on the green and blue bandera stripes to tribute Ayrton Senna, who is my childhood hero, and it made sense to debut it here at Donington because I'm sure most of you know, but one of Ayrton Senna's most revered drives was here at Donington Park in 1993, when in changeable conditions he did the lap of the century to go from 5th place all the way to the lead by the end of the first lap, overtaking world champions Alan Prost and Damon Hill in the process, who were in the faster Williams cars as well. So this place means a lot, and I always wanted a bit of something on the car, and it felt right to do it that way. So you might have noticed on the live stream, actually, the green and yellow bands that we've put on there. And yeah, the car looks fantastic. Mark not only painted the car, but then he helped us with the vinyl, putting those stripes on the night before. We were in our garage at about 11 p.m. at night by the time it was all finished. Mark Chappell, Mike Brown, Mark Jackson, Neil Jackson, there was a little army of them all putting the stickers on, and I'm very, very grateful to you for your help, because Woodstock looks fantastic and I'm really, really pleased with him. So where are we now then? I don't have access to the timer. I think we're on about 35 minutes, so probably 2 or 3 laps to go. And like I say, I'm in bring it home mode. Gap to Luke is now north of 12 seconds. I think 12 or 14 seconds. I got the call from Mark. So yeah, I'm absolutely bring it home. Now, to put this into perspective, I have won races in the Puma Cup before. My debut win in the Puma Cup, I can't remember the year, 2020, I think, possibly 2021. It was at Anglesey. It was a double header weekend, and we won both of those races. The caveat, though, is that we were the only Puma Cup that turned up. So as long as we saw the checkered flag, we got the win. Now, I'm proud of those wins because we did turn up. We did turn up and we did the laps, and we crossed the line having done more laps than any other Puma Cup car that weekend. But we were the only one. So although I've got the trophies on my windowsill at home and I'm very proud of them, there's a little star next to that one. The second time we got a win on the board was at Anglesey, again in the 24-hour race. That was the one when Mark Chappell made his race debut, and although it wasn't a 24-hour race, there were 4 races in 24 hours, and yeah, we won that one by a considerable margin, but it wasn't a normal Puma Cup race. Jamie and Luke weren't there that weekend, and with night driving and such like, it was a bit out of the ordinary. So there's that one, and again at Anglesey, we got a double win one year in normal races against other Puma Cup cars, so they kind of felt like legit wins. I'll just break away from that. Mark's had to pull into the pits because he heard some rattling or something was loose on the car. Turns out his handbrake cable had snapped and was dangling around underneath the car, and whilst you don't need the handbrake while you're racing around, you hear something like that and it worries you and you think, uh-oh. So Mark sensibly came into the pits in case there was anything wrong with his car, and he wanted to get it checked out to make sure it was still safe. So yeah, those two races at Anglesey, managed to beat Jamie Clare on the road after 2 race-long battles, and one of those wins only came about because Jamie got a pit lane penalty for being under the 90 seconds. So although we beat him, Luke wasn't there and Jamie got a penalty. So I take the wins, that's 5 in total right now, 5 Puma Cup wins, but each of them has had a star against it. There's been something about it. Now, this round here that we're watching today, it's the first time that Luke and Jamie have been on the track whilst I've been ahead of them, and there's been no mechanical issues. Luke's had retirements from races in the past and we've managed to beat him that way, but on pace we've never managed to beat Luke with a fully functioning car. So to be ahead of him at this stage, and Mark has already told me on the radio that both Luke and Jamie made valid pit stops this time, so this is a legit, everybody's on track, nothing happened, no mechanical issues, no pit lane penalties, and we are beating them. And it's difficult to put into words without bragging or without sounding like we're bragging or being cocky about it, but those guys are bloody good. They've been winning championships and races for donkey. Well, I've been in the Puma Cup 6 years. Both of them have been 15, 20 years racing in all different classes, some at a much higher level than the Puma Cup as well. I know how good they are. So to be in this position, oh, and here's that other yellow Puma. Look at that, 2 yellow Millenniums out on the circuit together at the same time. Although the yellow one ahead wasn't racing in the Puma Cup, he was in a separate class. But all the same, nice to see a Puma on track. Good work, pal. But yeah, it's a big deal to beat Luke and Jamie on fair terms, where everybody was, well, nobody got anything to moan about. Look how good Woodstock looks there on the live stream. It's fantastic. I think at this point we've got 1 or 2 laps to go. Spoiler alert, I'm just going to say it, we're going to win the race. Nothing goes wrong in the next lap or 2, and I want you to know that, because I don't want to do the fake drama and the fake cheery thing at the end. There's nothing fake about it. I'm gonna go nuts even watching the replay, because it was the culmination of so much at the place where it means the most, and you throw all that into the pot, and this is an absolute highlight of my racing career. I first took to the grid in low cost in the year 2000, and yes, 25 years ago, and this race at Donington caps everything. It's an absolute racing highlight for me. The emotions they're not quite there in the car yet because we haven't finished, but I know now that this is, as a betting man, this is odds on. No bookie would take a bet against me right now, and although people have lost races closer to the flag than I am right now, I am a numbers guy. I do look at statistics and probability, and I know that it's as good as a slam dunk. I've not had any warning signs from the car. The temperature needle's been exactly where it's needed to be. We've not had any naughty lockups. We've not had any noises that were unidentified. Everything's been fine. Now, of course, there's still variables you're not in control of, predominantly other cars, of course. But yeah, this is mine for the taking right now, and I didn't want to get to the line without savouring it, so that's why I went into we've got this mode, bring it home mode, because I wanted to enjoy it. I wanted to soak up that feeling of beating my rivals fair and square, pole position to the flag. I say pole position to the flag. Of course, we were behind for a fair chunk of it. Who's on the stream right now? Oh, that's the white Puma of Neil Jackson and Nick Fuljames. They were sharing the car this weekend. Again, Nick's a newcomer to the series, sharing that white car with with Neil. But Nick's getting quicker and quicker round by round, and it'll not be long before they're up there as well. Quick thumbs up to Alfie Jones in the Honda Civic that just passed us. Alfie was on the way to a podium in the Tin Top series, but look up on the stream, there's Danny Cassar. Is he taking the checkered flag there? Yep, there he goes. Danny got the win. Well done, Danny. Danny's one of my best mates in motorsport, and for us both to win on the same day in the same race, that was pretty special, actually. That felt like another tick in the box of the "it was meant to be" column. There goes Nick Fuljames crossing the line in the Puma Cup. And where are we now? We're just coming down the exhibition straight. I didn't see the last lap board get put out, so I didn't know that this was my last lap until about now, when Mark is on the radio saying the checkered flag's out, the checkered flag's out, this is your last lap. That was a terrible impression of Mark, sorry. So yeah, okay, that's good news. The checkered flag was coming sooner than I thought it was. So 2 corners to go. Let's get round the first one. We've got that yellow Peugeot, just let him through. Huge berth, absolutely no point getting wing mirrors anywhere close to being I've messed that voice up, haven't I? Right, no worries. Last corner. And here we go, round the corner. I'm going to shut up, just listen to me in the car. This is great.
Yes, yes, yes! Come on! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yeah, it meant a lot, and I hope that came through. There's the results of the race. Sorry, I should have left that graphic on a little bit longer. Myself, Luke, and then Jamie in third. Gareth brought it home fourth. Neil and Nick, apologies, in fifth, and Mark brought it home in sixth place. There he is, crossing the line now. Huge thanks to the marshals. We always thank the marshals. Thumbs up and waves where possible. As an ex-marshal myself, oh look, there's Mark on the pit lane in the black t-shirt. Why are you not jumping up and down, Mark? Thanks to everybody. I'm going to start with the marshals. There was a big meeting at Goodwood this weekend, the members meeting, and a lot of marshals went down to that circuit. So Donington was thin for marshals this weekend. So every single one that gave up their weekend for us to go racing, thank you so much. Always goes without saying. There's so many people to thank, and I don't want it to sound hollow by just listing off a reel of names. Especially Mark Chappell, Mike Brown. Those guys are tireless with how much they help. Now, I've cut the video a little bit here because this is the first time I got interviewed in the pits after the race. My friend Mark Werrell doing the commentary, doing the interviews. Now, there is no audio of this. I'm ever so sorry, and I promise you that I've not done this deliberately. The audio on the live stream in the pit lane just wasn't very good, and you can't hear what I'm saying. So in summary, I thanked a few people, Mark and Mike especially, and talked a bit about Silverstone. I think I was saying words along the lines of, after making such a bad start, I was a bit angry, and then we nearly got taken out, but it was the strategy that did it. Mark noticed the Senna tribute livery, so he's mentioning that. And then just on the front wing, we've got the Bitten and Hissers Jordan Snake, which was my little tribute to Eddie Jordan. As I said in that interview, Eddie Jordan's a bit of a hero, and he died a couple of weeks ago, and he's a titan of motorsport, so it felt appropriate to put the snake on the car. And I used to have a pet snake called Nesta, and he was bright yellow as well, bit more orange actually, so also to Nesta. There's my trophy, there's the hat, first place at Donington Park, amazing. And there's the gang that came to say hello. Jules, Dale, Joe, Mike in the red, Neil in the background, Stacey and Naff. Mark and Toby aren't on that picture because they'd gone off round the paddock somewhere to take photos of cars, all that kind of stuff. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was a long one, but wow, that one will live long in the memory. Back out at Cadwell in a few weeks. Hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world. Appreciate it. Bye bye, everybody.